This video is brought to you by Andy Gone Nuts. 100% guaranteed fresh coconut water delivered straight to your door. Call 876-309-6128. That's 876-309-6128. Refreshing and affordable. For more information, follow them on Instagram at Andy Gone Nuts. Truly refreshing. And Crumble by Mrs. C. Old English fudge and other delectable sweet treats. Call or WhatsApp 876-586-0471. That's 876-586-0471. This video is brought to you by Starboy's Juices. Infusing fruits with sea moss in Philadelphia and New Jersey. Refreshing and nutritious. Call Starboys at 1-267-904-3454. That's 1-267-904-3454. Good evening everybody. How is everybody doing? My name is Simon Preston and welcome to Reggae Boys Commentary. This is the channel where we come together to discuss everything in relation to Jamaican football. This is your hub for everything Jamaican football related. So, as you guys are aware, earlier this week I provided information for you guys in relation to what was to come. And what was that in particular? Well, I gave you guys an insight in relation to the big event happening in Guatemala, and that's the Concacaf Congress in particular. Hey, hope you're doing well. So this was something that was of huge priority. And this was something that was done. So at first, let's kick things off with our good friends, Starboys Juices. Big up yourself, Sir Perry. And of course, Andy Gone Nuts, Mr. Clark. Hope you're doing well. Starboys, Mr. Perry, big up yourself. You guys anywhere in the Northeast? Whether it's Maryland, whether it's DC, whether it's New York, head on over and check out Starboys Juices. That is the best place to go. All right, guys, because I know a lot of you in the Northeast. Newark in New Jersey. I know you guys in Harrison in New Jersey as well. Go down to Philadelphia. Go down to Pennsylvania. Trust me, you won't regret it. So, Charles Brahma, hope you're doing well, sir. So, folks, let's get right into the matter, shall we? And this is in relation to Concacaf. Yep, that's right. And as you know, this directly has an impact on Jamaica in particular, and that is exactly what we're going to speak about right now. It's FIFA president, well, CONCACAF president in particular, Victor Montaglianni, who was unanimously re-elected as CONCACAF president, and this will run until 2027. The 38th CONCACAF Ordinary Congress took place in Guatemala and was attended by delegates from all 41 CONCACAF member associations. So this is what happened today in particular, and the CONCACAF member associations unanimously re-elected Victor Montaglianni as president of the Confederation for a further 4 years, and this is set to run from 2023 to 2027, and Montaglianni was the sole candidate in this election process. I'm just going to read the press release that was prepared by CONCACAF as well, and then we'll go right into the impact of how this will impact the Jamaica in particular, and by extension, the region. When President Montaglianni was first elected as CONCACAF president, his priority was steering the Confederation through the challenges faced under previous administrators. After successfully leading the process to deliver important governance reforms, he has prioritized unity within CONCACAF and creating and implementing a football-first agenda across the Confederation. This has included the expansion of the CONCACAF Gold Cup, the launch of the CONCACAF Nations League, and the development of revamped men's and women's national team calendars and an entirely new CONCACAF club ecosystem. Montaglianni has led CONCACAF's process of creating and launching its first women's football strategy, CONCACAF W, and under his leadership, CONCACAF has launched several initiatives to support its federations in growing football on and off the field. These include the One CONCACAF program, the Executive Mentorship Program, and the Coaching Convention, which will transform coach development in the region. President Montaglianni expresses sincere gratitude to the 41 CONCACAF member associations for their trust in his leadership and he committed to continuing to lead the Confederation in service and support of their efforts to grow all aspects of football within the region in particular. So, just to give a little bit more insight in relation to the CONCACAF Council and FIFA Council positions, no Jamaicans among these sorts of heads. Randy Harris from Barbados, CONCACAF Council Vice President. Nick Bunt is from Canada. Let's go down a bit further so that you guys are be able to see. This was Guatemala for the Congress in particular. Our General Secretary, was there in particular, and we'll also have President Ricketts, and I believe the General Secretary as well, Mr. Chung, will travel to Rwanda sometime for the FIFA Congress as well. So that is something to look forward to in particular as well. So that will take place, I believe, before the second game against Trinidad and Tobago. So we'll provide more updates on that aspect when everything draws a little bit closer. So that's something for us to bear in mind. So what does this mean now, folks? Well, first thing, let's go and check out what you guys are saying in the comments, shall we? I'm in Maryland, gotta check them out. All right, great, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, you gotta check them out, definitely. Still can't believe Coach Holgrimson had no database of the current players. Shocking, don't worry. Everything in life takes time. Keep working on it, keep working on it, keep working on it. So this is what will be done for sure, So, folks, let's get right into the matter now, shall we? Let's talk about what has been done. So, as you remember, there was a time in World Cup qualifying where the minnows of the Caribbean, so to speak, would only play 2 games and they wouldn't play games for another 4 years. Or if the only time they would play games is when the Caribbean Cup comes around, and that would be another 2 games. So they're playing 4 games every 4 years. Is that helping development? No. But what has happened, especially under the leadership of Victor Montaglianni, is the creation of the Concacaf Nations League. I will admit, the dissolvement of the Caribbean Cup, I was disappointed with that because, the rivalry and everything, and bearing in mind Jamaica has 6 Caribbean Cup titles, Trinidad has 8, and as it stands, until a competition is brought back in, Trinidad and Tobago remain the most successful teams in terms of titles for the Caribbean Cup, So that's the situation where that is concerned, So with all of that being said, new competition has been formed, and it's just been quite immense from that standpoint, So let's now move into the other aspect, shall we? And that other aspect that I'm referring to in particular is in relation to what's next. Yeah, what's next for the region. That's basically going to be a huge discussion point. Very, very big. Because in this matter is going to be important. The slot allocation 2026, because his next spell will encompass the 2026 World Cup in his backyard, because games will be in Vancouver and also Toronto as well. So, folks, this is massive. This is massive for the region. There's that stability, there's that continuity. I've had the privilege to meet him a couple of times in Martinique for the Caribbean Cup final, in Montego Bay, the Mobay Conventional Center for FIFA Congress as well. And I also had a chance to speak virtually with him. And as you know, I uploaded a interview in relation to that matter in particular about his goals and everything of that nature. So it's something that was discussed, really spoken about and focused in on, So it was really good from that standpoint, So I'm really glad that is something that took place. Now, impact on Jamaica. Well, quite simple, folks. It's just going to mean games and games and games, especially for the women, because when you're bearing in mind from the women's standpoint that it's been an increase because they're now a CONCACAF W Gold Cup. Yep, that is right, folks. Right now, you have a Gold Cup that will be for women, and that Gold Cup for women will be next year, June next year, the inaugural staging of the CONCACAF Women's Gold Cup, and that's going to be next year. So the Reggae girls, they can qualify for that directly if they're able to defeat Canada in the Olympic playoffs. If they're unable to defeat Canada, then they will head to basically the women's edition of the CONCACAF Nations League. And it's going to be the CONCACAF W Gold Cup qualification. and this is set to run from September to November later this calendar year. But as we know, what needs to happen first is basically the situation of we need to know what happens in the Olympic playoff. The Olympic playoff is so important, extremely important. Whatever happens in the Olympic playoff will determine if Jamaica or Canada will advance to that, stage where there will be a situation of having the qualification process. So that's where things are as it stands. League A is going to be the top 9 ranked teams, and for certain, this is going to comprise a team. This is going to comprise Jamaica if they don't defeat Canada, and if Jamaica defeats Canada, it's going to include Canada, right? So that's how it's going to be from that standpoint, right? So that's what we know for sure, which is going to happen. And once the Red Girls are through, whether they beat Canada or they go through the playoffs itself, then they'll join the United States, Brazil, Colombia, Argentina, Paraguay, because the first edition of the Concacaf W Gold Cup will feature 12 teams. That's right, a 12-team tournament. And when you're bearing in mind four South American teams, and you have 3 groups, you're gonna have one group with 2 South American teams. Interesting, isn't it? Well, that's what we have to look forward to from that standpoint. At least one group is gonna have 2 South American teams, and the other group is gonna have 1. So that's what we can look forward to. So we'll see how everything transpires, folks. It really, really is a compelling months and days and weeks ahead. Simon, I know you mentioned the World Cup team total of 23 players for the girls. Is that the max amount of players teams are out? Yes, that is correct. For the Women's World Cup, it is going to be a 23-player squad. Yes, that is right. It's not the 26 that we saw for the men in Qatar last year. So that's the situation from that standpoint. It is a 23-member squad and no adjustments from there. It is a 23-member squad. 23-member squad for the Women's World Cup, and it's going to be that way until perhaps 2027. Maybe there might be some updates in 2027, but for now, it's going to be, the situation of 23 players for the next Women's World Cup. Yeah, folks. So that's where we are from this standpoint. I do have some other updates to give you guys, but I do think it's important to provide them in future videos. But for now, what I can do is give an insight in relation to what is to come. I can do that. I was watching some of your previous live videos. I'm nervous and hopeful we pick the best 23. Charles, to be quite frank with you, it's going to be a difficult decision picking under 23, because after you pick the 3 goalkeepers, which I think would be the easiest decision of the other positions on the field, because when you're bearing in mind the goalkeeping pool right now, you have Sydney Schneider, you have Rebecca Spencer, you have Yasmin Jameson, you have Leah Brooks. 3 of those 4 are going to make the plane, right? So the goalkeeping position is more straightforward. The defense, the midfield, and the attacking options, more complex, especially the attacking options. And I'm going to stress it again. Ayas Abdi, how are you doing, my friend? I hope you're doing well. So I'll stress the points once more, all right? Here's the situation. And I'm going to list out the names so that you guys can be fully aware about it in particular, all right? Just hear me out. Bonnie Shaw, Jody Brown, Tiffany Cameron, Chena Matthews, Kayla McCoy, Shadeda Malakan, Kiki Van Zanten, Soleil Washington, Cameron Simrans, Siobhan Wilson. That's 10 players right there. That's 10 players right there. And I'm going to be frank with you, not all of them are going to make the plane. Unless you're going to say, okay, Tiffany can play as a right back, so probably Tierney Wilshire can play at left back and Tiffany Cameron at right back. Why not? Why not? That's something to consider right there. You know what I'm saying? That is something to consider right there. Something to really, really think about. Because Denisha Blackwood at left back, especially the game against Spain, was disappointing. Very, very disappointing. So that's something for us to bear in mind, in particular. You put Tierney Wilshire, who did a very, very good job. Tierney Wilshire, for somebody that also didn't have a club, she's a fantastic football player, but for somebody that hasn't had a club and hasn't been playing for a while, she did an exceptional job, worked her socks off. And Tiffany Cameron played against the second best team in the world at right back and did an exceptional job as well. Yes, I like Tiffany as a switching option. Okay, and if you put Tiffany Cameron as a right back, right, then you look at the front three and say, okay, if Bunny's through the hole, you have Jody Brown on the left. The question mark is, okay, who's on the right? Are you going to have Chena? Are you going to have Kiki? Are you going to have Shade? Are you going to have Soleil? Or are you going to have Cameron? I just named 5 players right there. And Cameron scored, and Soleil made a big impact as well on debut against the Czech Republic. So bearing all of that in mind, the April window for me should be where we're starting to narrow down on the pool. By April, you should be having like a 30 or a 35 in your mind, and then slowly but surely trim. And by the time we get to the camp in June, we should have saying, okay, 25 players, and we're just trimming the last 2 pieces to the puzzle, the fourth string keeper, and perhaps another player, you know. Eddie Guna, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing good. Well, hope you guys are going all right, man. So, hope you guys are doing okay, you know. Would love for you guys to. Would love to keep in touch, man. Good. Hope you guys are doing well. So, yeah, that's the situation, folks. That's where we are, you know. That is the situation. That is where we are. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Hope you are also doing well. Yeah, do let me know. Do let me know how you're doing. Do let me know how you are doing. All right. Yeah, man. Do let me know. I hope you're okay. Yes, that's right. So, another thing from a Concacaf perspective is the regular games. How much times you could say before pre-2019 have FIFA windows come and gone and come and gone and come and gone, and there's been no games. But now with Concacaf having the Nations League, there is an assurity that each window comes and there are games being played. And you have to make special commendations for that, because there have been many times where FIFA windows have come and gone and come and gone, and Jamaica has been inactive. Very inactive, you know? You know, Eddie, at the end of the day, I think if you picked a 23-player squad and I picked a 23-player squad, I am 100% sure that me and you would have different 23s. And why is that? Because you and I would have different favorites, you know? And it's similarly with Lauren Donaldson. Coach Lauren Donaldson would have his favorite as well. You understand what I'm saying? So he would have his favorite as well. You understand what I mean? He would have his favorite. He would have his favorite, you know, in terms of who he likes. You understand what I mean? So from that standpoint, that's why. Now, you clearly see the persons that are getting minutes. That's the situation. Definitely want to see Simmons and Washington in the future. I feel one of them might be on the plane. I feel Simmons will make the plane, honestly. I definitely feel that. 1,002%. I feel that's definitely something to look forward to, you know? So that's how I feel about it. I wonder if you guys feared it and feel the same way as well. Well, perhaps you do. It wouldn't surprise me if you did. That's how I feel, genuinely. So the next thing is the regular competitions of youth events. You know, gone are the days of certain competitions in CONCACAF where you only play 2 games at youth level and then you're gone home. Now it's at least 3 in the group stages of competitions under 17, under 20. So more games right there. More games under your belt, more competition, more opportunities to play, more exposure at the end of the day, which is fantastic. Fantastic. So, growth, all in all, in these sorts of aspects. So, you have to give the commendation there where this is concerned. I do have a few more things I'd like to discuss, folks. There's a few more things that I'd like to bring up. One of them I'll touch in another video, which I'll zero in on later today. But for now, what I want to do is show you guys something. And that is in particular to the Concacaf Women's Under 20. Yep, the qualifying schedule is now out. That's right, the qualifying schedule is now out for the Concacaf Championship. Group E. Group E in Nicaragua. U20. Sorry, women's U20 qualifier schedule confirmed. There we go, guys. I'll show you the groups right now. So there we go. So Group E, Jamaica, Honduras, Bermuda, Anguilla, and French Guiana. The top team from that group advances to, that's right, the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship. And great preparation for Soleil Washington, who recently played against Czech Republic and Australia. Soleil Washington is 17, and she is eligible to represent Jamaica at the Under-20 tournament and take on Honduras, Bermuda, Anguilla, and French Guiana. So this is exceptional preparation for her. Unfortunately, folks, Cameron Simmons is too old, so she wouldn't be able to play within this competition. So yeah. So that's the situation. Yep, that's the situation. That's the situation, folks. More information of the Under-20. Well, let's see if I can be able to show you guys something. Yep, it's just 8 teams in the final round now. And Jamaica's group, would have loved to see them on home soil, but Jamaica's group is in Nicaragua. Nicaragua's group is also in Nicaragua as well. Costa Rica, Guatemala, Nicaragua, St. Lucia, Belize. Group A in Domrec, Canada, El Salvador, Cuba, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Martinique, and USVI. Group B in Curacao, Haiti, Panama, St. Kitts, Curacao, St. Martin, Bahamas. Group D, Puerto Rico, Trinidad and Tobago, Cayman Islands, Antigua and Barbuda, and Guadeloupe. There we go, folks. There we go. Yep. That is the situation right now. I'm curious to hear your opinion on McCoy. Does she make the plane? I like her, and she is good on the ball, but doesn't score enough for their chances. And at the end of the day, Charles, I think that's the only thing that I would say. I don't want to say have against her, but that's the only, box that for me she doesn't tick in terms of the scoring for Jamaica. I mean, it's been a while since we have seen her score for Jamaica. That's the reality of things. I mean, yeah, we've seen her score, but not for me, not often enough for the player of her caliber. Club-wise, a fantastic job. But Tiffany, in her last 5 games for Jamaica that she has started, she scored in 3 of those 5 games she started for Jamaica. And the last one, remember, was an Australian at right back. And the other game that she started for Jamaica and she didn't score in was against the best team in the world, the United States. The other 3 games, she started when she scored against Grenada. She started and she scored also against the Dominican Republic. That's right. And guess what? She started and she scored against St. Kitts and Nevis. So when she starts, Jamaica scores. Simple. you know? So from that standpoint, can't complain. Can't complain about that, you know? Not at all. You can't at all complain about that. So yeah. So that's how I feel on the matter of all of this, really. So that's how I feel on the entire matter as a whole. That's the schedule. Jamaica is in Group E. That's right, Group E. Honduras, Bermuda, Anguilla, French Guiana. That's right. Yes, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. I'll be back in less than a half an hour from now to do a video as it relates to Jamaicans who were on target today over in Europe. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Reggae Boys Commentary for more content. This video is brought to you by Starboys Juices, infusing fruits with sea moss in Philadelphia and New Jersey. Refreshing and nutritious. Call Starboys at 1-267-904-3454. That's 1-267-904-3454. This video is brought to you by Andy Gone Nuts. 100% guaranteed fresh coconut water delivered straight to your door. Call 876-309-6128. That's 876-309-6128. Refreshing and affordable. For more information, follow them on Instagram at Andy Gone Nuts. Truly refreshing. And Crumble by Mrs. C. Old English fudge and other delectable sweet treats. Call or WhatsApp 876-586-0471. That's 876-586-0471.